What's the future of smart home ecosystems? And how is Dolby bringing cinema tech to our lounge rooms? Vertical Hold is proudly brought to you by Alcatel. Welcome to Vertical Hold, the tech show where we channel surf through the headlines in search of the big picture. I'm Adam Turner, and this week I'm not joined by the hardest working man in show business, Alex Kidman. He'll run on the show next week. We've just returned from a week-long stint at the CES Electronics Show in Las Vegas, and while I was there I caught up with Lars Felber from Elgato to talk about Apple's HomeKit ecosystem. Plus we'll also hear from Dolby's Roland Vlaicu to talk about Atmos surround sound. So we've taken Vertical Hold on the road at CES, and I'm talking to Lars Felber from Elgato. We're talking about smart home gear, we're talking about Apple HomeKit. They've got some new stuff coming to Australia. Lars, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Can you tell us about the new plug, the electricity plug that you've got coming to Australia?
Right, so far we had a handful of HomeKit products that we are selling in Australia and New Zealand, and now we are adding a power plug for Australia. It's going to be available in Bluetooth and Wi-Fi versions. It's coming soon, and it'll enable you to switch your appliances using HomeKit. That means you can use Siri, you can use the Home app on your iPhone or iPad, and you can certainly use the Eve app that we make. And what else? You can use timers, you can use location-based triggers to switch it, or even rules. So the door opens and the Eve contact sensor tells HomeKit that the door is open and a light will go on that's connected to Eve Energy, the plug. And so it's built around HomeKit, so that's Apple gear, but you don't necessarily have to always have your iPhone within range for it to work, right? Right. Yeah. Is the Apple TV the other way? The Apple TV can act as a home hub.
Yeah.
That's what it's called in HomeKit. Alternatively, you can also use a newer iPad that's always around at home. This can act as a home hub as well, but we recommend the Apple TV really because it's much better in terms of range. Yeah. It's wall-powered, so the radio that's in Apple TV 4 is much stronger.
Yeah. So there's a whole lot of different smart home ecosystems, and some vendors, like Belkin, have decided to go it alone and build their own Wemo system. Others have decided to go with specific larger standards, like you've gone with Apple HomeKit, so that means straight away you can work with Siri and do all these other things. How have you seen HomeKit evolve over the last couple of years since Apple first announced it?
Well, when we started to think about doing connected home stuff, HomeKit wasn't around. So we thought about what our own cloud service, if we had to do one, would need to deliver. And so we were glad when Apple announced HomeKit, because one big thing is security. And Elgato is a 50, 60 people company, and we're great at creating software and user interfaces, but we are probably not the kind of company who'd run, maintain and secure a cloud service that controls people's homes and automations in those homes. So being able to rely on Apple's security standards is a great thing, and HomeKit is by far the most secure connected home standard to date. However, all those advantages aside, it took HomeKit a while to evolve to what it is now, and maybe the biggest step was iOS 10, where Apple came out with their own home app that illustrated to people that HomeKit is really embedded in the iOS, and it is vendor independent, and everything is unified. Whatever manufacturer you have, it'll show up in Home app on your Apple Watch and be able to control it through Apple TV. So iOS 10 really has changed the game. Yeah.
So we've seen a broad range of smart home type gear, and as you say, there are some small vendors who try to do it all. And I kind of respect the fact that you guys say security is not our specialty, because I think some people think about security as an afterthought. So that's good, because like some of the smart light bulb vendors got burnt on that because they didn't get the security right. We must be heading to a point though now, because we're at CES, and as far I could walk in 5 minutes in every direction and all I see is smart home gear, right? We must be due for a bit of a consolidation, right? And obviously the bigger names like your Apple ecosystems are going to be some of the ones that are more likely to survive. But when do you think that will be, and what do you think it will be that will see that smart home sort of start to compact and then move forward into the next stage, rather than there being 50 vendors here all with their own little products?
I think this is going to happen soon, and what we saw by the end of last year was really vicious botnets attacking servers on the internet, and that was little baby cameras and door locks that got part of a botnet because they were infected by a malware.
Yeah.
And this kind of product is probably on the way out, because this is just unacceptable. At some point, people will start noticing and complaining. So far, if your baby camera is acting in a botnet, you just don't care because it continues to work, right?
Yeah.
For you. But what if all that stuff gets bricked?
Yeah.
Then people will see that security plays a role, and then they will also realize that the more independent vendor-specific hubs you have at home for your light bulbs, for your power plugs, for your heating control, the more prone you are being infected by something. So having a unified and really secure solution is probably the way of the future. How soon that will happen, I don't know, but I think HomeKit is on a good way.
Yeah, and that's one of the ideas with your Eve app. That doesn't just control Elgato gear, does it? That's designed to be a central hub.
Yeah, exactly. It is a full-blown HomeKit app, and we are trying our best to keep on top of all the developments concerning HomeKit hardware that comes out. So whatever you have, if it's heating control, it'll show up in our app, and you can control it properly from there.
Yeah.
What we add to the features set that the Home app, the built-in Home app offers is more advanced automation options, like you can apply conditions. That's something that the Home app doesn't do at this point, and some other things.
Yeah.
It's
great.
Worth comparing.
Great. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So we're joined by Roland Vlaicu, who's with Dolby, and he's going to talk to us about Dolby Atmos. Roland, thanks for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about that Dolby Atmos is not based on channels in the way that traditional audio formats are based?
Absolutely. So Dolby Atmos is our immersive audio experience that we've first showed in cinemas about 5 years ago, and it's based on a fundamentally different concept. Up until Dolby Atmos, surround sound was based on channel-based mixing.
Yeah, so your front, your rear.
Yeah, you mix 5.1, you play back in 5.1. If the number of channels that you have differs from the number of channels in the content, then you have to, play your tricks or magic.
Yeah.
With Dolby Atmos, that is no longer necessary. You create effectively a sound bed, which is the baseline of your audio experience, and then you place objects, and that is the recording mixer. Places the objects exactly in three-dimensional space where he wants them to be represented and reproduced, and then upon playback, the rendering engine plays out the audio and recreates the experience and puts the object exactly where it was intended, regardless of the number of speakers. So this works with 192 speakers in the Dolby Atmos cinema.
Yeah.
It works just as well with a home Dolby Atmos system, or what we're seeing here with LG on a Dolby Atmos system integrated into TVs.
So that's one of the reasons that, like with the LG televisions, it's possible to have a Dolby Atmos system that's just front-based with the sound bar, and you're not missing out on as much about not having rear speakers because it's smarter about where it places things.
Exactly. So the Dolby Atmos playback system in the LG televisions is absolutely aware of its playback capabilities.
Yeah.
The number of speakers, the way whether they're rear-facing or downward-facing or front-facing, and takes in the information, which is the Dolby Atmos soundtrack, and then renders out those objects exactly where they're supposed to be, to the best of the capability of the hardware. and then you get that Dolby Atmos experience even from a 2-channel TV. We have about 2,000 Dolby Atmos screens worldwide, several in Australia. We have about 500 movies released in Dolby Atmos already in the last 5 years. And Dolby Atmos is also part of a concept that we call Dolby Cinema, which includes Dolby Vision projection, Dolby Atmos sound, and an amazingly new seating experience. And that is marketed as Dolby Cinema, which we are rolling out around the world. But I don't think we're just quite in Australia yet, but we're definitely working on it.
Yeah, good to hear. And what about discs? It's on the Ultra HD Blu-ray?
Right, so Dolby Atmos has been available even on regular Blu-ray disc, as well as Ultra HD Blu-ray disc. So that we have about 150 titles released worldwide with Dolby Atmos soundtracks. And so we're obviously working on adding more now with the addition of Dolby Vision to the Ultra HD ecosystem. You can expect to see discs that combine both of those technologies.
And streaming services?
Absolutely. So there are several streaming services already that are supporting Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision, like Voodoo, for example, here in the US. We're also working very hard to enable Dolby Atmos on more streaming services that are available in other parts of the world as well.
So it's not on Netflix at the moment?
Not at this point.
No, not at this point. What about Amazon?
Same thing. So we have been working with both Netflix and Amazon very successfully on Dolby Vision, so that Dolby Vision experience is available on both of those services. And stay tuned for more updates.
We don't have Voodoo, we do have Netflix, and we're getting Amazon sometime. So it's good to know that it's coming.
Absolutely.
Great. All right, thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Well, that about wraps it up for this episode. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you like what you hear, hit that subscribe button. Vertical Hold is proudly brought to you by Alcatel. Welcome to Vertical Hold. God, I can't even remember what to say next.
I had that exact moment. Just
what do we say? I've got a mental blank. The tech show where we channel surf through their headlines.